Okay. Hey guys, this is Trenchy back again, bringing you another video, and this time we are doing a tag. Um, the 10 for 10 tag. Now, I do not know who created this tag. It seems no one knows. If you did create this tag, please come forth and claim it. Um, Yeah, just please so we can give you credit and proper credit for the tag. Now, so if you created the tag and you see this, please come forth and claim your tag. Please do that. Um, so, essentially, this is 10 favorite movies from 10 different genres. Um, I'm a picky bastard, so to make it easier for myself, I kind of broke the rules, and I did 10 underrated films for my 10 favorite genres. So 10 films I think most are underrated. They're not my favorites, but they're what I think is most underrated. Um, so yeah, I broke the rules a little there, but hey, I wanted to give a little spice to the tag. A little spice. So first up is action, and I have to go with a movie. Oh wait a minute! Before I get into this, I was tagged by the Trash Picture Show. Marty, awesome YouTube. I almost forgot to say that. What the fuck? Awesome YouTuber. Check him out, dude. He does great stop motions. He's doing an Alien stream tonight on the movie Aliens, the second one. If this goes out today, probably will, hopefully. If it is, yeah, that's tonight. Check it out. Great friend of mine. Love the dude. He's awesome. Check him out. Link will be below. Okay. So first up is action, and I am going with the movie Cyborg. It's an 80s movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. Um, yeah. This movie was recommended to me by a guy named Mr. Osmosis, aka Paul, and I ended up watching it. And yeah, it's dope, and I think it's a really underrated movie. John Claude is not only good with the action aspects of the movie, but he also brings in an actually emotional performance. You really feel for his character and what he's going through. And yeah, it's essentially John Claude Van Damme is in. They're in this future environment, and he has to protect the cyborg and bring her to a certain area, but she ends up getting kidnapped by the villain, who's this big buff, cheesy guy who has these creepy looking eyes, and he's awesome. He has some great lines, and yeah, John Claude has to rescue her with the help of a girl he grows attached to in this futuristic apocalyptic area, apocalyptic world, and yeah, and it's great. It's a very, it's still a cheesy sci-fi action film, but there's a lot of cool ideas and weapons used, and just the idea of the world's really thought out. Some very interesting looking areas. Like I said, John Claude brings a very emotional performance, and it does have some really emotional story beats. The fighting's brilliant. The bad guys, like I said, fucking cheesy but badass. There's one line where he's like, "What do you want me to swim? What do you expect me to swim to this area?" I hate water. I can't swim. And he says it all badassly. And it's like, Jesus Christ. It's amazing. Cyborg is dope. Underrated action film. That's why I picked it for action. So the next genre I picked, of course, had to be horror. And it's me. I gotta pick a horror. So I went with a very underrated horror called The Reflecting Skin. from the 90s. It has Viggo Mortensen in it from Lord of the Rings. This movie feels very much like a giallo. I haven't seen too many giallos, but I feel like it has that vibe. How would I describe this movie? Very disturbing and very yellow. You'll understand if you've seen the movie. This movie is about a little kid who's growing up in this area, and other little kids are going missing, and he thinks it's because a new woman who has moved into the area is a vampire. Well, his brother, I think, or uncle, comes back from war, Viggo Mortensen, and ends up dating this woman, and it's up to this little boy to try to save his nephew slash brother, maybe. I forgot what relation he is to him from this woman. That he thinks is a threat. That he thinks. This is very much a coming to age story as much as it is a horror, but it's still horror. It's very disturbing. There are some scenes in this movie you'll never forget, especially one scene where they find a certain object and they think it's something that it's not. It's just really fucking I really like the mind games of the movie. I really like the vampire aspect because he thinks the woman is a vampire. I forgot to mention that the reason why he thinks the kids are going missing and shit is because he thinks the woman is a vampire. I really like that aspect and how it's played around with. There's a really disturbing scene where they kill a frog, or a toad, which is very unforgettable. Just the brilliant movie. A really fucked up good movie that is worth the check out. Very underrated. Like I said, it's like a really fucked up horror coming of age story, vampire, not vampire film. Really good movie. Okay, you can probably find it on YouTube, I think. Really solid film. Worth the check out. So the next genre I picked was comedy. And I went with a little gem from the early 2000s called Be Kind, Rewind, starring Jack Black and Mos Def. This movie's just fun. If you love films, if you love VHS and like video stores, you'll love this movie. If you love the passion of filmmaking, you'll love this movie. If you're a YouTuber, you'll probably love this movie. There's a lot of this movie's just great. Danny Glover's in it too. It's about these two guys who are left to take care of a video store. One of them, Jack Black, is a conspiracy theorist and gets electrocuted, and he walks into the store and erases all the tapes because he was electrocuted and magnified and shit. Really cheesy science fiction element. It's dropped, but afterwards he ends up puking it out, but it's just used to erase all the tapes. I thought it was fun. And Mos Def and Jack Black take it upon themselves to refilm all the movies and give them to the customers. So they make their own versions of like Ghostbusters, Lethal Weapon. It's really fun. Trying to keep this video store afloat in an era where like DVDs starting to take over. They're trying to keep the VHS store alive. It's like a mom and pop shop. They're trying to keep it going, and just watching them recreate all the films is just very fun. Reminds me of like early YouTube and shit. I could see these guys going on early YouTube and just the passion and just beauty of filmmaking, especially with the ending film and how that's made and stuff. Just really good film with a lot of heart and a lot of passion. If you like movies I think you will highly enjoy this film. And it is funny. It's fucking funny. It's a great. It's got a lot of good comedy. Sigourney Weaver makes a guest appearance, uh, cameo. It's just a. It's a good movie, man. Again, if you like movies and you haven't seen Be Kind Rewind, check it out. It's definitely a classic in my book and highly underrated. It's a beautiful movie, really fun movie. So yeah, that was my comedy pick. Next up, I went with what I feel is an underrated genre. No, I didn't see this on anybody else's list, but it's one of my favorites. The coming of age story genre. And I went with a little movie called Secondhand Lions. This movie, nobody really knew about it when it was released, which is a shame. It's a really good, beautiful movie. Has some fantasy elements to it, but it really is a coming to age story at heart. You got Haley Joel Osment in there when he was a kid. This was an early 2000s film. Got Robert Duvall, Michael Caine. This boy is left by his, I think it's his mother, right? Or it might be his aunt. I think it's his mother, though. His mother, who's essentially a whore, very irresponsible, just leaves her grandson, or leaves her son alone with his two uncles. And who want nothing to do with him, don't really know him. They're just two old guys, really bitter, really don't want the fun kid. As the movie goes on, we find out more about the uncles, and them and the kid really grow a bond. And this story just has a beautiful message to it. That sometimes belief is might be the most powerful thing you can have. It's really about belief and hope, and there are conflicting backstories of the grandfathers. You don't know which one is true, which one is false. But the moral of the story is finding something that's worth believing in and believing in it. Which I think is beautiful. There's a great speech in there where he's like, I believe most people are good, that good will triumph over evil, that honor is one of the most sacred things in the world, shit like that. And that's just a beautiful message that I try to take to heart. Just a great message. And he said these things don't have to be true to believe in them. You should believe in them because they're worth believing in. Which again, great message. Robert Duvall and Michael Caine put on a terrific performance. There's a great fight scene in the movie that's really fun. There's a lion, of course, involved. It's just so many really good elements. I think this is a really beautiful, fun, fantasy kind of coming to age story done right. I'm not a big fan of the ending. I think they fucked up a little there, but besides that, I think this is a terrific movie, and one of the best. I'm gonna say one of the best for sure, and definitely worth your checkout. So please check out Secondhand Lions. You know, Robert Duvall and Michael Caine kill it. It's just a beautiful movie, and with a very deep, poignant message. Next up, I went with comic book movie because, of course, I did. I couldn't leave a comic book movie off, and I went with an animated one. That's not DC. Marvel actually did a couple animated movies in the early 2000s that people have seemed to brush over, but some of a little bit of influence from them have been put in the MCU movies. I had noticed, and there was a little bit from that in Age of Ultron. In the movie I'm about to bring up, there was Age of Ultron took a little bit from this, and a couple other movies did. But that is Ultimate Avengers 2. I think it's like Rise of the Black Panther or something. Another just really good, fun superhero movie. This is a sequel to Ultimate Avengers. I really enjoyed this one. Is it perfect? No, but there's a lot of really fun moments. I love them facing the Chitauri. I love how Captain America and Black Panther both have issues with the main villain because he was not only one of the main villains during the Nazi time where Captain America was in his prime before he got frozen and led the Captain America getting frozen, him personally did, but he also kills T'Challa's dad. So T'Challa, the Black Panther, has a vengeance against him as well. I really like the relationship between Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, and Hank Pym, Ant-Man, Giant Man. Well, he's mostly known as Giant Man in this movie. I really like the relationship, and what happens to Giant Man in the movies just really hits home, and it hurts. Again, Steve, Captain America, and Black Panther's relationship with each other is really well done. And what the movie is about is the Avengers have to end up working with Black Panther and Wakanda to fight off more of the Chitauri invasion. Black Panther had ended up seeking out Captain America because he was looking for the man who killed his father. Again, the alien dude. And yeah, it's just great. You got Thor going looking for answers, which was kind of they ripped off and put into Age of Ultron, but he does it first in here with the little pool and shit. You got Bruce Banner. In the last movie, he freaked out and ended up fighting the Avengers as the Hulk. So in this one, he's dealing with that, and he wants to help. He wants to let the Hulk loose, but Betty won't let him, and he's like freaking out. And he wants to help fight the Chitauri as Bruce Banner, but they don't trust him. It's just an underrated comic book movie. Really cheesy, really fun, animated. I just wish more people would look at the Ultimate Avengers films, especially this one, because I think this one's the best of the three. There is three of them, because then there's the where the Avengers kids take over and they fight Ultron. But I really wish people would check out these films. DC's animated universe is great, but Marvel had a decent one as well, and these movies are really fun. And I know the MCU might overshadow that, but these movies are really good, like I said, and I think they deserve some recognition. Because they're just fun movies. They're the ones who brought you. Respect the ones who brought you. Like I said, the MCU has taken quite a bit from these movies, I feel. So, I hope these movies get more love. So please check out Ultimate Avengers 2. And the first one, of course. And if you want, check out the third one. You know, it's a great trilogy. It's a good little trilogy. So yeah, that's Ultimate Avengers there in the comic book movie slot. Coming up next is Romance. Now again, this kind of could be considered a coming of age story. You can see the pattern here. I do like that genre, but this is a romance. And that is The Spectacular Now. I think one of the better romance movie ever. One of the better romance movies. Just a really great, underrated story. Got Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley in there, and even Brie Larson in a smaller role. But this movie is about an alcoholic partier played by Miles Teller. Kind of a fuck up, but still an earnest guy. He's just kind of a fuck up. He lives with his single mother. He ends up meeting this girl named Amy, shy, dreamer type girl, likes comic books, nerdy. They end up hitting it off and forming a connection. Which he helps her be more confident. She um, she helps him with his confidence as well, but she also helps him kind of like look forward and kind of be like, hey, like think about stuff after this and stuff like that. Like she helps like open him up to stuff and open him up to kind of being a fuck up. But at the same time, he kind of drags her down and slowly turns her into an alcoholic like himself. And it's really interesting. And you want these two to work, but at the same time, reality kind of drips in. And while they do both give each other great things, like she's helping him see the good inside of himself, he's helping her stand up for herself. There also is that bit where she's being dragged down and you realize this relationship's kind of toxic. And it's not that anybody's trying to make it toxic. Neither one of these characters are bad per se. It's just they don't click. It just won't work, It's just the reality of it. They weren't meant to be, but they're still trying to make it work. It's a really interesting, deep movie that I highly enjoyed. I think it went under the radar a little bit. A lot of people might have looked at it and been like, oh, this is like a girly movie and stuff like that. They might have just overlooked it. It's like, oh, it's one of those teen movies, but no, watch it. There's a lot of deep, real human stuff in here. And I think this movie is very impactful and very underrated. It's a beautiful movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot. So please, if you've not seen the Spectacular Now, again, this is another one. All these movies I consider underrated, and I feel like it's worth your time and energy in checking out. So please check out the Spectacular Now. Coming up for sci-fi. Next one I chose is sci-fi. That one was romance. I don't know if I mentioned genre, but that was romance. How many we do now? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're on number 7. So coming in for sci-fi is a movie that really deserves more praise. From the great, one of the great directors, Terry Gilliam, from Monty Python and all that. Brazil. Brazil is just a great parody of just government and life itself, and just shows the dangers of over, protection and over, authorization and overcorrecting. It's pretty much a parody of overcorrecting. Like, everything's filed to the book. There's so much paperwork for what these people do. There's so much, like everything they do has to be filed under paperwork. It's it's so tedious and so unnecessary. Um, and it really is a parody of modern society, like people having to pay for their own jail sentences, and it could like fuck up their credit and shit like that. Like you're, if you allow yourself to be tortured too long, you could fuck up your credit. Like crazy ass shit. Like Robert De Niro plays a character called Harry Tuttle, who is a rebel against the system, not because he hates the government, and not because he's fighting against the government, because he's just doing his job as a heating engineer, but doesn't want to do all the damn paperwork. He wants to be his own private contractor, but in this world, that's illegal. um, just the surrealness Terry Gilliam brings to this world, and the comedy is on point with just like the desk scene where he's trying to keep the desk from going into the wall, or just the absurdity of this fucking world, man. It's just it's crazy. It's fucking crazy, and this is just a great fucking movie. Uh, just brilliant, brilliant, very well done, and just captures the. It just makes fun of the insanity of our world by pushing it up to 100, and then adding the surreal qualities that only Terry and Gilliam could add, and the comedy that only Terry Gilliam could add, and it's just great. It's just a fantastic movie. If you have not seen Brazil, go watch Brazil. It's from the 80s. Terry Gilliam, Robert De Niro's in it, and he's fantastic. And just watch the movie, man. Just watch Brazil. Please. Please. If you're gonna pick one movie off what I'm listing to watch, Brazil's the one. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Brazil's the one. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but in the end of the day, just go fucking watch Brazil. Just go watch Brazil. Oh shit. So okay. Now we're on to fantasy. We're on to the eighth genre. For fantasy, I chose how do you say his name? Hiro Yamashita. A Studio Ghibli film. I chose a Studio Ghibli film. Now, Spirited Away might be his best work, and that would be my favorite. But I'm not doing favorites. I'm doing underrated. So I have to go with my second favorite, which I feel is very much underrated, and that is called Kiki's Delivery Service. Now this one I feel got overlooked because you have more bombastic, more crazy works like Spirited Away, kind of like the Alice in Wonderland kind of fantasy, all these weird creatures and stuff like that. You got Howl's Moving Castle, which is just this big deep fantasy as well, crazy movie. And you got Princess Mononoke, the people fighting the forest, and again, big movie, really catches eyes. I feel like those movies really catch eyes with all their big fantasy elements. But I feel like this one kind of flew under the radar, pun intended. Kiki's Delivery Service is about a witch named Kiki who moves to a town and starts up a delivery service. And she delivers for people. And as the movie goes on, she slowly finds out truths for herself and slowly matures from a child to a young woman in the movie. Not in like height or anything, but I mean mentally and just spiritually. Um, this movie's fucking fantastic. There's a few different cuts of this film. Um, one where you got the original Japanese version in Japan, in Japanese, got the American version that kind of fucks up the ending a little bit, and you have Phil Hartman voicing the cat. Then you got the redone American version, which cuts out a couple of Phil Hartman lines and fixes the ending to be more like about what the original was going to be. I like all three. I like well, I haven't seen the Japanese version, but I like the two versions both a lot. But I will have to go with the re-edited version, even though the 2009 or the early 2000s version that came out in America first before it was re-edited to be more like the director's original version did have a great song. I wish they would have left in. It's a fun little song. But this movie's very mundane. Yes, Kiki has powers. I mean, well, she doesn't have powers. Yes, Kiki can fly and the cat talks. But besides that, it's more just this girl going through life, delivering food. Um, she helps a woman bake a cake for her daughter, but the daughter doesn't want the cake because she's a bitch. Like, just so many mundane moments. She's worried about how this boy she met that she kind of cares for, her friends think about her, like his friends think about her, like shit like that. It's very much a coming of age story. Did I already say that? It's like it's becoming a pattern, man. But it's a fantasy movie. You know what I like. But this was just a beautiful movie. Very underrated. I feel like since Howl's Moving Castle and Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away have a lot more fantasy elements and a lot more cool looking visuals, that they kind of got more attention and gathered more eyes. But I feel like this one's really good, and it's probably my second favorite. I haven't seen all of them. My second favorite Studio Ghibli film, behind Spirited Away, and I think it's a brilliant film um, that shows that you don't need to have a bunch of wacky over like not wacky, but you don't need a bunch of like crazy fantasy elements in your fantasy story. Even though that's weird to say, but you don't need them. All you need is a good story, and maybe it's just some tiny fantasy elements here and there. But just all you need is like what would happen if a witch had a delivery service in a town. That's all this is. That's all this is. And there's a great action scene at the end, big climax thrown in, but it's more just this development and coming to age story of this young girl who just happens to be a witch. That's all it is. And I think that's really cool. And I really enjoy that. And yes, the fantasy elements are there to suck you in, but Kiki and her story and her journey is what keeps you going. And I think that's great. And I think more movies should do that. Like, have your small little fantasy elements, but make it more character driven. And I think that's what Kiki Delivery Service does really well and does right. And I think it's worth your checkout again. I would tell you to try to get the newer version. The newer version's on HBO Max, the edited version. But also look up the song. Just look at Kiki Delivery Service. I'm Gonna Fly, because that's a great song. It's a great little pop song. I wish they would have kept it in. I know they wanted to stick to the vision of the director, but I wish they would have just kept that song. You know, you change the ending and stuff because the fix it, make it better, but make it more in line with what it originally was supposed to be. But keep that song because that song was brilliant, and I think it fit the film very well. So yeah. So yeah, for fantasy, that was Kiki's Delivery Service. Um, Coming down to the wire, folks. We're on number 9 with Monster. Yeah, it's a subgenre of horror, but people have been picking animation, and that's not a genre. That's an art style, okay? It's not a genre. A lot of people in the animation business would would smack people calling it a genre. Like I'm not like that. I think if you want to pick it as a genre, you can. It's cool, but it's technically not a genre because any film can be told in the way of animation. It's an art style. I got that out of the way, but yeah. So for monster film, I went with one of the most underrated of all time, in my opinion. Frank Henenlotter's, my favorite Frank Henenlotter film. Yes, I prefer it over Basket Case, and it is Brain Damage. Brain Damage is about a worm god who eats brains, escapes an old couple's apartment, finds this dude, crawls on his back, injects him with this drug he makes from his body. He has this like little thing that comes out of his body, stings him, injects him, makes him see colors and trip out, and uses him as his little slave to eat brains while keeping the incentive that he keep them wet in water bowls. The guy keeps them wet in water bowls, and the monster will keep giving him those injection of drugs. Just a really interesting, original story. Beautiful visuals. It's not only beautiful at times, but very grungy and very dirty. Elmer had great puppet work done on him. The monster looks brilliant, and he talks with a British accent, which is awesome. It's a little cheesy, but it's still dope and fits the. It doesn't take you out of the experience. It fits it and makes it creepier. Our main character is kind of likable. I didn't fully get attached to him, and I've seen this a bunch of times. I don't fully get attached to him, but I still care for him enough, and I care for the people around him. The gore is great. The kills are awesome, especially scene involving a prostitute who was probably played by a real prostitute, knowing Frank Henenlotter. He likes his shit to realistic. Um, just a really good out of the box movie. Come on, a worm god injecting a dude with drugs so he can eat people's brains. Where the fuck are you gonna see that again? Where the fuck are you gonna see that again? You're not. You're not. And he has a British accent. Again, just fantastic movie. If you love monster movies, please check this out. I know Basket Case is dope. Basket Case is dope. But Basket Case gets all the attention. And I feel like this one's better. I feel like this one's way better than Basket Case. Just being honest. It's my opinion, though. But I feel like this is way better than Basket Case and worth your time. So, yeah. For Monster, that's Brain Damage. Little 80s flick. We finally fit the last genre. If you know me, you know what it's going to be. We had to hit up a musical up in this bitch. Because you know I really like musicals. And I thought about it for a long time. And I chose not to do any Star Kid. Because technically, yes, there are DVDs on them. And yes, they're filmed. But I guess they're technically not movies. And I really wanted to do Star Kid. But I didn't. But I went with something I feel like does deserve more love, and I have to thank Martin, aka the Anthropomantic Fiend, for showing me. And on the fucking Apocalypse. What is this movie? This movie is a, I think it's Scottish, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a Scottish Christmas horror comedy zombie musical that's depressing but also heartfelt, zany but also kind of deep, cheesy but also I already said that. Oh, never mind. I'm going too far. But this movie fucking should not work. This movie should not work on the basic principles of all. This should not be able to mix, but it does, to make a wonderful, insane creation of pure beauty. Pure beauty. The foreshadowing of this film is brilliant. It's brilliant foreshadowing. I actually used one of its songs for a music video I did involving a great show called The Boys. The characters are great. It's about a bunch of kids who end up having to fight, end up having the zombie apocalypse happen, and they have to work together to survive and get to the school to save the main character's dad and to find one of the other character's girlfriends and shit like that. And it all takes place on Christmas. Just brilliant. The characters are very three-dimensional. You feel the deaths hit. The songs are pretty much all bangers. The comedy is fantastic. The gore is fantastic. The kills, well, same as the gore, is fantastic. The villain is fantastic. He's both grounded, but also zany at times. It's like he's grounded, but then also becomes zany, and it feels like it works. It's one of the best songs in the movie. Just everything about this movie. I've been told it's like High School Musical. What they're going for is High School Musical with zombies. That's where they got the idea from. Well, they nailed that on the head, and they killed this fucking movie. This movie is fucking brilliant in its own way. Fucking brilliant. I don't know what drugs they were on to have to make this, but they found the right combination. 'Cause this was fucking, it's fantastic. It's one of, I'll say, to me it's one of the best musicals. But to you, it's gonna be the most unforgettable musical you will ever see. Maybe Rocky Horror can up it a little bit, but I feel like this is the one you're not gonna forget. 'Cause it's just too insane. It's just too insane, but it's also grounded. And it also makes you cry, but it makes you laugh. Well, it didn't make me cry, but it made me feel really bad. Well, I was close. I was close to crying at times. Like, I've seen this movie a couple times now. It hits hard, man. It hits hard. And it's just, woo. It's just great. It's just great. Fucking Anna and the Apocalypse, man. And we're done. We did it. We made it to the end of this video, which is 44 minutes long. Holy shit. I would like to thank Marty for tagging me. Sorry it's so goddamn long. But, again, I would like to thank Marty for tagging me, and please check out his channel. Great stuff. Lots of good stop motion. Lots of good reviews of movies. Very fun guy. Great to hang out with. And he's just a good dude, so please check him out. I'm going to tag the Anthropomantic Fiend. I don't think he's been tagged yet. Great guy. Very fun channel, deals with the macabre, but also he's a great singer and musician, and he's just a fun guy that reviews movies, loves gothic horror. I would love to see how he feels about other genres. I know he loves fantasy, but I want to stretch your knowledge, Amphro. And you can pick the 10 genres. I just picked 10 genres. You can pick the 10 genres, and I did underrated, but you can do favorites if you want to, because technically this is supposed to be favorites, but I just broke the rules because I'm an asshole. But yeah, Anthropomantic Fiend. I tag Collector Man. Uh, he's a great guy. Just got back off his vacation. Really fun. Does great reviews. Had a great impression of Beetlejuice. Just really good guy. Again, 10 for 10. 10 genres, 10 of your favorites. Or if you want to do what I did, underrated, you can. Yeah. I'm gonna tag Brian and Coco from Brian Goes Blue. I don't know if they watch this, but I gotta catch up on your stuff. But I will. I've watched a little bit and I didn't comment, but I do watch your stuff. I'm just an asshole and don't comment. But yeah, I tag Brian Goes Blue and Coco. I would love to see your videos are just fun, and I like your DVD pickups and just going over movies, doing quick reviews on them and stuff like that. It's just so fun. You guys are just fun to watch together. It's always a fun time. All I can say, you just radiate happiness. So there you go. You guys are great. So there, I tag you again. If I'm tagging you, you don't have to do it, but I'm still gonna tag you because I gotta tag some people. And I would like to, if you want to, I would like you to do it, but you don't have to. Next up, I don't even know if you watch me, but Bryn, I'm tagging you, Bryn. I would love to see your 10 favorites or underrated from 10 different genres. You have really good taste, and you're into a lot of different stuff. So I would love to see what you would come up with. Plus, you're fucking awesome. You're dope. Bryn has a lot of good stuff. Apple Pomade 2 coming out soon. We're almost to May 1st. It's coming out May 1st. Check it out, man. It's gonna be dope. It's from Bryn Dwyer's channel. Apple Pomade 1 is a movie he made. It's a really emotional story of an apple. Part 2 is gonna be great as well. And yeah, Bryn's fantastic. Bryn is fantastic, and he's just a cool guy. So yeah, please check him out. And yeah, that's the 4 I tag. I'm tagging Anthropomantic Fiend, Collector Man, Brian Goes Blue, and Bryn Dwyer. So yeah, there's my tag. Again, was tagged by Marty from the Trash Picture Show. I'll leave his link down below. Again, whoever made this tag, please claim it so we can give you credit. I would love to give you credit, but I don't know who the fuck you are. So you gotta let us know. Please, if you can. And yeah. I had a lot of fun doing this. It was really hard, and that's why I had to cheat a little bit. I hope you don't mind, Marty, or if someone at the creator tag sees that, I hope you don't mind. But yeah. So anyways, I'm probably gonna end here because I've been going on for almost an hour. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Stay frosty. This is Trenchy, signing off. Beep bop boop.